Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Herd Fit Podcast with Dr. Sam Marie and myself, Coach David Syvertson. This podcast is aimed at helping anyone and everyone looking to enhance their healthy lifestyle through fitness, nutrition, and most importantly, mindset. All right, welcome back to the Herd Fit Podcast. I am Coach David Syvertson. I am here alone in a hotel room in Tempe, Arizona. I am sitting here on, Friday night of day one of the 2025 Legends Championship. I'm going to be going away with my wife for a couple of days after the comp, so there was not going to be a Herd Fit episode coming out this upcoming Monday, but I figured I have some time here. And I was just going to put some thoughts together after each day of the competition, put it together, send it out. I'll try to make it somewhat interesting. I'm not going to just have you give my stories and my experience. I don't think it's that interesting, especially after today. Rough day for me. And I also don't want to talk about Kathleen and Tracy's story and situation because I'm going to probably have them on and let them share their experiences. But I will say this, when you fly across the country and compete or go anywhere and compete, could be local as well. It's awesome to have people from your camp there, especially competing. You know, we've had people fly across the country to watch and support. We always very much appreciate that. My wife is actually landing in the next half hour. Can't wait to see her and spend the rest of the weekend with her here. But when you're competing with other people, whether in your division or not, whether you're on a team or not, it's there's a different level of connection there, and you can kind of speak the same language and kind of use each other as sounding boards and give each other support, feedback. You know, you can complain about workouts, you can be proud of yourself, and it's really cool. I've been out to Legends by myself back in 2020, and then I've been to Legends with Kathleen and Tracy and Amy and a bunch of different people over the years. Ella, Dave L, those guys. It's been a real fun thing to experience with other people. So if you guys ever have an opportunity to compete with others, it doesn't have to be on a team. You guys can still do your individual thing. But when you do it with a group of people, whether we do it at 908 in the spring for barbells and beers, or we find different local competitions, it helps a lot to have people there with you that are in your corner, because no matter what, these things are intimidating. I just got done talking to Kathleen, who was, again, I don't want to give up her stories too much, but you know, we were talking about how some of this stuff, no matter what, we're seasoned vets in competing. It's intimidating when you come across certain people or certain situations, and you kind of forget what you're supposed to do sometimes. You know, you forget how to snatch sometimes when you're that kind of nervous, and it's very different than being in your home gym. But that's part of the reason why we do it. You put yourself in very difficult, uncomfortable situations, and you might not enjoy it during, you might not enjoy it immediately after either, but am very much a believer that it makes you stronger and a better person down the road. So I'm going to go into my personal day one here. And again, I'll try to give more stories of the situation down here and what the comp is like. And I will touch on how I did, especially today, because I did not do well. The first event was a swim. So they have, I think it's an Olympic sized pool. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong there. It's at Arizona State's campus. And basically it's down and back is 50 meters. And every minute 30, you have to do that. Okay. So we do interval type workouts a lot at Bison, out at Last. I'm sure you've done them on your own. You have a minute 30 seconds to swim 50 meters. Just so you know, the fastest people, especially with the ability to dive in and do that little flip turn, whatever you guys call it. I don't even contemplate trying that because I'm pretty sure I'd smash my forehead against the wall if I tried. It can be done in 30 seconds. And there was someone the fastest time in my age group today. I think he was done in 28 or 29. He also had a Serbian national swimming team swim cap on. So I'm pretty sure he's swam a few times in the past. But it can be done that fast. On average, especially early on, it was about 37 to 45 seconds. But again, on the other side of the spectrum, you have people going well over a minute. No matter what, you're starting your next set at minute 30. And what we thought was this event was we thought it was going to be you swim 4 times. You just got to get done under a minute 30. Not that hard of an effort for most. And then the last set would be for time. That would be your score. Yesterday at the athlete briefing, they let us know for the first time, it was probably the biggest sigh or the biggest kind of a reaction the crowd got during the briefing, was the score would be the sum of all 5 swims. So it completely changes your approach to the workout when you're doing that. Instead of going slow and actively recovering so you can sprint at the end, you jump into the water on that first set knowing you have to go fast because that is a part of your score, but you can't go too fast because if you blow up, it's like any pacing we talked about at the gym. If you blow up in round two, your rounds 3, 4, 5 are going to be a lot slower than they would have been if you paced correctly. A lot of us, myself included, I'm not a big swimmer. I don't swim often. I'm not a good swimmer. I'm pretty good aerobically, but it's a different ballgame in the water. And when you're supporting your own body weight, whether it be running or swimming, that's where a true engine can get tested. I think when you're sitting on a bike, sitting on a rower, it doesn't test you as well as something like running or rowing. And running or swimming. And this is coming from someone that wishes that was a row or a bike. But I'm sure you have done workouts like this before. If you're at Bison, or you've been on Next Level Program, or you've been at Outlast, you have done these. Basically, go hard but not max effort, and then after a short break, you're going to do that again. And can you be repeatable? There's workouts where we test your fastest and slowest times. That's what we record on a 10-round workout and a 5-round workout. That's essentially what this was, but the score was really the sum of all 5 times. The biggest question was, how hard should you go on that first set? Would you rather go a little harder and get more rest, but potentially not recover? Or would you rather go a little slower, be able to recover, but maybe not start as fast as you normally would have if you went all out in that first set? I went really hard on my first set. I think I was one of the first people out of 15 to finish, and I immediately knew that was probably not a good sign. I kept it together on my second set, but sets 3, 4, and 5, I can feel myself. I was getting dizzy every time I got out of the pool because we dove in on every set. Goggles stayed on this time, by the way. I was very proud of myself for that. Very surprised as well. But that was a real challenge for me, and I was really hoping to be in like the top 12 to 15. I ended up being, I think, 18th place. So again, not a huge difference score wise. But one thing I learned about myself is that you can be really good at breathing heavy and recovering on certain movements, burpees, bike, box jumps, whatever, rowing. That does not necessarily translate to something like swimming, especially if you swim in a given year. I probably swim 15 to 20 times. It's just not enough. And you can tell some of these guys swim all year or they grew up swimming. So that was a big deal and kind of exposed the hole I have in my fitness, one that I already knew I had, but to have it hit you in the face like that at the first event of a competition kind of stung a little bit. But it's okay. You have to kind of bounce back. I think a big part of competing over the course of a weekend, something that you don't always necessarily get on the one-day comps, is you have a lot of downtime and you can either be upset or you can put it behind you and give your best effort in the next one. Because at the end of the day, that's all you can do. You can't rewind. You can't control anything else. And so as I was a little down about that walking back to the hotel, but again, you just kind of clear your head and you get ready for the next event. One thing I'm really impressed by with the guys and girls that I saw swim today is how much of everything in CrossFit we do has skills and techniques, and you could tell in the warm-up area, especially, who swims and who doesn't. The people that swim at a really high level, they don't look like they're trying that hard. They don't look like they're if you want to call it strokes per minute for my rowers out there, or RPMs on a bike. You can tell someone's really humming on that thing because of, they're doing a lot of reps per minute. The strokes per minute. When you see someone on a bike, for example, and the RPM is 90, 95, it looks fast, obviously. But really good swimmers, they're not, just chucking their hands in the water back and forth and having their heads bob. Like, they almost look like they're moving slow, but they just had the technique down to swimming so well. And I think that's a big part of where I personally could get better at swimming, is instead of just trying harder, it did not work today. I blew up. You really have to get better at the fine points to swimming. And there's a skill that can be practiced in every movement you do within fitness. It could be running, it could be jumping, it could be squatting, it could be Olympic lifting, obviously, gymnastics, obviously, but everything you do can be improved with the quality of movement, because the second you become inefficient with your movement, you are now having to work harder on every single repetition. And you do that over and over again, that could be the reason why you think your engine is bad, right? I could be getting out of the water and be like, man, I thought I was in better shape than that. My heart rate, my ability to, my VO2 max, my ability to manage my heart rate is pretty good. But if I'm an inefficient swimmer, which I am, it doesn't matter. My engine, my ability on a bike and on burpee and typical CrossFit workouts, it doesn't really help me in the water if my movement is inefficient. So keep that in mind. If you are someone that wants to get better with their engine, it's not just rowing, running, and burpees. It needs to be improve your movement quality to the point where it's perfect. And newsflash, it will never be perfect. So you'll always have something to work on. So that was it for workout 1. Workout 2 is another one that I was not looking forward to for selfish reasons. The selfish reason being I'm just not a very good max lifter. And this workout was a max lift. Interesting, complex. I do like the concept behind it. It's you have 5 minutes, which is not a long time. You can preload your barbell. You have to do a snatch, any kind of snatch you want. And then after you snatch the barbell, no matter what kind of snatch it is, you now have to perform 3 overhead squats. And they were pretty strict from what I see and from my experience with my judge and what I saw and what I heard, that they were pretty strict with the depth. Sometimes competitions can get a little frustrating on the athlete side if you have some judges being strict and some not. But everyone I saw squat, the heat before me, the heats that I watched earlier, there were a lot of no reps given to just being an inch above parallel. So if Andrew Hiller gets any videos from this comp, I think he'll be pretty happy with the range of motion that we saw. So basically, I do think in most cases, if an athlete can snatch it, they normally can overhead squat that weight 3 times. I'm not going to say everyone, I know everyone's different, but for most people, that was how much can I snatch today? And then I lock in my position and I do my 3 overhead squats. Every now and then you would see someone fail, and it was more of a mobility thing than a strength thing. They just couldn't get all the way down, or their judge was making them to go further down. And the second they tried to get that hip a little further below the knee, they lost the overhead integrity and the bar crashed in front of them. I saw that a couple times. So this was another event for me personally. I knew it was not going to be good, and it was not good. I think I came in 30th, or I haven't checked yet. I haven't confirmed it yet, or I haven't gotten the updated, but I think it was around 30th place. And I hit a 210 snatch, which right now is probably about 90 to 95% of my 1 rep max snatch. I haven't been snatching a lot. Just got a couple lower body issues, but at the end of the day, I just have never been a very good snatcher ever. Never been very strong with the max lifts. And we did just do a snatch cycle at Bison. I felt confident for me. That is probably the heaviest snatch I could hit right now. Maybe I could another 5-10 pounds. But here's a decision that if you ever find yourself in a competition setting, that you should probably play around with this in training, where you put a strict time cap on, or a strict amount of attempts that you can use for your score. And so either or, attempts or time. I like time, because if you give yourself 5 attempts, but you give yourself 20 minutes, that's not realistic for sport competition. So this one was 5 minutes. This was tight. You got to warm up as much as you wanted to, but you had to start heavy, but you wanted to make sure you hit that weight. So I started at 190, a weight that I hit in the warm up. I knew I was going to hit it, but it was not easy. Then I went to 200, then I went to 210, and then I went to 220, and I failed the 220. So my score was 210. And most of the guys in my heat, they were starting at 225 or 205. So starting basically where I was hoping to get to at the end. But this is one of those classic, like, I'm happy with that weight, even though competitively I know it's not good, because 210 is a weight that I don't always hit. And I was happy to hit it today. I really did want to go for 220. Here's something to reflect on. The tiebreaker in this event, I don't know how I feel about it yet. My initial stance is I think it's a little silly, but the tiebreaker on the event was, like, let's say three guys hit 210. I don't know if that's true or not. Most of them hit more than that, but let's say 3 guys hit 210. The tiebreaker was the total sum of all the successful complexes you hit throughout your 5 minutes. And the reason I don't like that is when I hit 210, I made the decision with about a minute 15, minute 20 left to go for 220. Not 215. I'm like, hey, let's just go for that 220, a weight I haven't hit in a long time. And I failed it. What I could have done is I could have went down to 165 and just hit the complex 3 or 4 times. And that would have been hard, but I would have definitely been able to do that in about a minute. And if anyone else that also hit 210, I would have easily beat them because I just kept on hitting that 165 because you're adding that to the total successful weight lifted. And for example, there was a guy in front of me. All of a sudden, I look up at the end. He was doing 135, and he just kept on doing the complex over and over. And that, to me, was not the point of the test. The point of the test was how heavy can you go. And I understand you need to find a way to. You don't want to have ties a lot in especially in lifting workouts. But I do think there's probably a different way to do that. I actually think an easier way to do it would have been you run the clock up from 0, and your judge would write down the time where after you hit a successful complex. So if 2 people hit 210, whoever hit it first gets the win. And whoever hits second is in second. Whoever hits it third hits it in third. I think that should have been the way to do it. I think it's easier on the judge, to be honest with you. And it's not as sloppy, and it's the same test for everyone. In my opinion, when you have guys going down to 135 and ripping through the complex over and over, just so they can win a tiebreaker in a strength-based event by going light and going fast, kind of takes away some of, not all, of the workout. Now, hey, going heavy, in my opinion, was the right move for me. I wanted to go up and hit a higher weight. I don't want to try to beat the 2 other guys at who 210. I'd rather go for 220 and pass 5 other guys because they didn't hit that weight. I think that's the way to do it. But I just don't like that idea of kind of changing the stimulus of the workout for the sake of a tie. There was a lot simpler, cleaner ways to do that. But I don't run the competition, not criticizing, don't want anyone getting sensitive about that. That's just my opinion from a programming/athlete perspective. So here we go, guys. It's Friday night. My favorite day of the comp is tomorrow, and I definitely have some extra fire in my belly because I did so bad today, and I'm going to be trying to dig myself out of a hole. But these things can swing fast in either direction. There's a lot of points left on the board, and if you can get a couple top 10 finishes, a lot can change. And I do think the general population that did well today, heavy lifting, big guys, swimming, that does not necessarily translate to tomorrow. It's a lot of gymnastics tomorrow. It's some heavy thrusters, heavy tired upside down wall facing handstand push-ups, a lot of stuff on the rig. So I'm really going to be able to attack tomorrow. And I think mentally, I don't like being so far down in the standings. Not going to lie about that. But it's in the rear view mirror now, and you can either help yourself with mindset at this point, or you can hurt yourself. And I've decided that I will help myself with it. I've been training with Rafi for a long time on that. I'm also very in tune with the mental part of this. I've been doing this for a long time. I've dug myself out of holes before, and I can't guarantee what I'll do tomorrow, but in terms of placement, but I do promise that you're going to see the best effort from me tomorrow, and I can't wait to do it. All right. I'll be checking back in tomorrow, guys. Thank you. Have a good night. All right, guys. Welcome back. I am here after day 2, Saturday at the 2025 Legends Championship. Tonight's going to be a little shorter. I'm going out to dinner. My beautiful wife is here, and she's not going to be on the camera. And we're going to go out to dinner with her family. So I'm going to be on the quicker side for today's recap. Day 2. Day 2 to me had a much more of a CrossFit type feel to it. I talked yesterday about day 1 being kind of single modality, right? We did all swim in event 1. We did all snatch plus overhead squat in event 2. Not a lot of work, interval based, not pure mixed modal workouts, what a lot of us are used to. Doesn't mean it's bad programming, but today felt more like a CrossFit type day. For myself, it started off with the row gymnastics jump rope, and Kathleen and Tracy / all females started on the other workout, which I will talk about next. The first part of the first workout for myself today, and second for Kathleen and Tracy, it did change a little bit volume wise for the age groups, but everyone rode, jump roped, toes to bar. And then round 2, you rode, jump rope, chest to bar, and then you rode for a third time, jump rope for a third time, and then you went to the rig for a third time, and it was bar muscle ups. Really glad and happy that they gave muscle ups to the older age groups. That's always a point of debate in master sport. Obviously, the loads get decreased as the ages get older, but in a lot of cases, they actually scale the movements away from high-level gymnastics, handstand walks, muscle ups, ring muscle ups. And Joe Linton, the director of the Legends Championship, said that every age group will have an opportunity to do all movements, and it takes a little bit of extra time, effort, energy, thought, conversation with each other about how to implement high level gymnastics into the older age groups. And I think they've made the right choice in that they simply just decrease the volume across the board. Now, this was a 9-minute cap, and per round, you did 25 cows on the rower and 50 double unders. And the gymnastics were 25 toes bar for myself, 20 chest bar, 15 bar muscle up. So that's essentially 9 stations in the workout. The cap was 9 minutes long, and I don't have the exact numbers, but I do feel that the vast majority of athletes did not finish this workout underneath the cap in all the age groups. Not a bad thing at all. I'm a big fan of tight time caps that most people can't finish, whether it's at the gym or in a competition scene. Logistics and schedule are a part of that, but I also think it adds a little bit of urgency and strategy to athletes, knowing that, hey, I might not finish, but I need to try to be really aggressive to get as far into this workout as possible. If you're a gymnast in this workout, I'm going to try to implement this workout at some point at Bison, but if you're a gymnast in this workout, your goal is to get to that last gymnastics movement, the muscle up, and be able to crank out a few, because a lot of people either don't get there or they get there kind of quickly and they don't have enough juice to do the highest level gymnastics. So I'm a big fan of workouts that challenge the gymnastics component when you're really fatigued. That was both workouts today. That was the separator. Example, I've had nightmare situations with my jump rope in the past, French throwdown, local comps, the open, and today was one of those days as well. You'd think after 14 years I'd be a little bit better. I'm not. And so I tripped up, I think a total of like 7 or 8 times. And my wife told me, Ash told me that it was the rope was hitting my grips. I don't know what was happening. It did feel a little weird. But even though I really did have a bad day on the jump rope, I was still able to do well in that workout because it still comes down to the gymnastics. And you can make up a little bit of margin for error if you can row quickly. But really, if you get to that, I saw a lot of guys and girls get to that rig first or second in their heat for those muscle ups, and they couldn't crank them out, and they got passed by numerous people. So one lesson I would give to anyone that does a workout like this is in your training throughout the year, you really need to take some mental notes, maybe even write them down. What is your go-to cue in your head when you're at real high level heart rate and fatigue for a high level gymnastics movement? Is it feet? Is it core? Is it pull? Is it eyes? There's a lot of different things that coaches will give you, but you need to have a go-to. And mine personally is to keep my feet as close together as possible, kick straight out about eye height in front of me, and just wait and let the legs and the hip extension give me as much momentum as possible, and then try to get over that bar. It's for me, it's not pull based, especially in the bar muscle up, because that thing's not moving. So that's something to think about. Like I said, I'll have Kat and Tracy come on and talk about their workout. Kat did suffer a little bit of injury muscle cramp that definitely hurt her about halfway through the workout, but I'll let her touch on that. That's her story to give. But really proud of both Kat and Tracy because those two are very good at gymnastics. And when they got to that bar muscle up set, whether it was 1 rep or 2 reps or 4 reps, whatever, that was a separator for them. So, and but you get there really tired. It's okay. It's awesome to have muscle ups, but if you can't do them and you're tired at some point, it's almost useless. So that's something that we should all be practicing on. And some of you need to get better at strength. Some of you need to get better at techniques. But I really do think if you could start to really analyze what cue helps you the most, that should be the cue that you are always focused on when you get to that part of the workout. Last workout, only have about 2-3 minutes on this. The workout was supposed to be sandbag cleans, heavy thrusters, and wall facing wall walk, and then a wall facing handstand push-up. That would be 1 rep. They did change the workout slightly. I would say a lot. The workout, these are the sandbags, they had an issue with the equipment. The workout was 30 cleans. For myself, it was 155. So you're talking about like a medium clean, but kind of challenging to do 30 reps of. Light enough to go touch and go, but maybe too heavy to do a lot of touch and go. That's the kind of stimulus there. You do 30 cleans, and then you have a workout of 8 thrusters, 4 wall walk plus handstand push-ups, 6, 3, 4, 2, and then 2, 1. And that workout is a really hard workout to figure out how to do it. I would love to do it twice and try a different approach. I went a big set of touch and go cleans and then touch and go for a decent amount, singles towards the end. I was a little afraid of the thrusters. I don't train thrusters at 155 pretty much ever. And I thought that those were going to be a big challenge for me. They actually felt a little bit better than I thought they would. The wall walk handstand push-up felt decent for the 4s and 3s. I actually failed my second rep on the 2s, and I got passed by a couple guys on there. And piece of advice to anyone that's ever in a position like that, I've made this mistake multiple times, and I've seen it done so many times over the years in the open, quarterfinals, in daily workouts at the gym. When you fail something strict above your head, a strict handstand push-up, all right, you have to be able to assess, was it mechanical or muscle fatigue? 9 times out of 10, it's muscle fatigue. And you need to usually wait longer than you think before you try it again. I've seen so many people wait 5 to 10 seconds. They start feeling pressure. They do it again. They fail again. Now you have to restart that clock. In some cases, maybe even extend the clock. So instead of me resting about 5 to 10 seconds, I stood up, I took my shirt off, took my belt off. I listened to my wife yell at me to tell me to rest on the ground instead of stand up. But I waited probably an extra 20. I probably waited 30 seconds before I tried up again. It's on video. I'll check it out. And it might have been too long, but I wanted to be sure I was going to get that rep. And I did. And then I went, banged out the last 2 thrusters, banged out the last rep. I did get past. Didn't do as well as I wanted to in that workout. And it was because of that fail. But that's life. That's CrossFit. It happens. I'm more than happy to make an aggressive mistake, especially because I did so poorly yesterday. I had to be aggressive today, and I was. I was at or near failure multiple times. And sometimes when you do that, you fail, and you got to smile either way about it. So really happy about that effort. I watched Kat and Tracy do it this morning. They both did really well. Again, I'll have them share their stories when they come on next week. I haven't asked them to come on next week, but I'm sure they will. And but they both did a really good job. Those 2 athletes, Kat and Tracy, they know themselves very well. And I think that's a big advantage in competing is you know what you can do, you know what you can't do, and then you know what you should be able to try to do. Those are 3 things I think every competitor needs to pay attention to, not the week before a comp, all year throughout your training, is what can I do? What can't I do? And what is my reach? What is something I could try to reach for and accomplish something new, especially with gymnastics or failure-based movements, even lifting. So that's going to wrap it up for day 2. We're going to go after a quick little dinner here. We got one more workout tomorrow. It's a very simple dumbbell snatch, burpee, box jump over workout, where it's basically who can sprint for 4 minutes. And it's a burpee box jump over workout. It's going to hurt. It's going to be painful. The margin for error is going to be razor thin. And I'm looking forward to the challenge. And hopefully, if we finish top 15, we get to do the last workout or 2, which we don't know what that is yet. So thank you guys, and we'll see you next time. All right, welcome back to the Herd Fit podcast. This is episode 3 from Legends 2025 Championship Weekend in Arizona. Just got done. Wrapped up day 3, wrapped up the competition overall. We had 2 workouts today. Everyone competed in their first workout this morning. It was a 4-minute rep ladder increasing by 3s of burpee box jump, dumbbell snatch, your typical RX weights. We were 50, 35 age groups. As it got older, you were 35, 25 with burpee box jump overs. A couple different notes about the standards that helped us a little bit. We only had to touch one head to the ground, not a huge difference maker. On the box jump overs, only one leg had to touch for those that were able to physically and mentally be able to put one foot and then land on the ground. I did not. But the fun part about this workout, the interesting part about this workout, and to some, the debatable part about this workout is how short it was. And when you have such a short workout with movements that everyone can do, it just comes down to how fast you can go and how well you can maintain that kind of speed. The margin for error is pretty much 0. I don't have the results in front of me, but I'm pretty sure the guys and girls that came first place through 10th were probably within 2 to 3 reps of each other. There was a tiebreaker who was after the set of 9. So it kind of made you sprint a little earlier than you wanted to. The approach on it, a workout like that, especially in a competition setting, was something that You don't train that often because we're always talking about pacing, sometimes to a fault. Myself as a coach, sometimes I over talk about that a little bit at the whiteboard. This was a workout where there really was no set pace. While you can't exactly sprint for 4 minutes, that is a complementary workout in terms of the movements that you can go as hard as you can, see what you could hold on to. You maybe slow down towards the end. I did. Most people I watched did, but the guys that won those heats and won those events, they were essentially the same speed 369 as they were on the 12 and 15. Really impressive there. And that's something that especially if you want to get the most out of CrossFit training or CrossFit style training, VO2 max training, is you have to push that boundary a few times. Doesn't have to be every time you work out. If you want a number, I think you should be training like that at least once a week, where you try as hard as you can. You go really fast. You try to push that needle. Sometimes you get burned, but that's part of the game. And it's really fun to do that at the end of a competition because everyone's kind of a little beat up. You've tested the skills, you've tested the strength. Now it comes down to how badly do you want it, and also how fast can you move. And if it's a completely different result, in my opinion, if it's an 8 to 10 minute workout. But that 4 minute time frame is something I think a lot of people don't train in an all-out sprint fashion. So really cool and interesting test. The last event you had to qualify for, they took the top 15 from every division. Always a tough spot to be in. I think part of that is logistic based, especially this workout was all shuttle runs and ring muscle ups. So because of that, you really could only use one floor that had 15 lanes. The rest of the weekend, you had two floors to work with 30 lanes at a time. So 30 people working out at once. You were not able to do that if you're only using one floor. So the only way you can get this done on time, especially on a travel day where a lot of people go home tonight, there's even people that fly back to the East Coast on the red eye on Sunday night. You have to do a cut line, and and you basically just do it to fill that floor of 15 lanes. So it's unfortunate, especially for people that are spending a lot of money, time away from home, time away from work and family, to only get 5 workouts in and get cut. And that's something that will probably break down a little further when we really break down the competition. But I will say, in Defensive Legends, uh, you kind of have to do it, and you can't make everyone happy. You don't have a perfect solution for everything. And I don't think there's anything wrong with making a cut, something you have to qualify for. And they saved the highest skill of the week for that workout, which was the ring muscle up. And that's usually where you want to see that event, where the top 15, most likely in a competition that had gymnastics tested, that you would have them being able to display that ability in addition to the low skill shuttle runs. But that was also a very fun way to end the workout. I don't think the competition was biased towards gymnastics or weightlifters. I think it was a really well-programmed, well-balanced test of fitness. That last event, though, was 100% who had gymnastics capacity and who did not. And to do that last, you could say, is a little unfair. But again, you would say the same thing if you had lifting at the end. So no quarrels with that. No quarrels with that last workout. So we'll break down these workouts with Tracy and hopefully Kathleen. I haven't even asked them yet, and hopefully they come on maybe next week. But one thing I'd want to say just personally, that it felt really awesome just to be back out there again. Definitely did not end where I wanted to end. There's good and bad that comes from any weekend, whether you win or lose. I do view it as a loss because the goal was to come in first place, was to win a competition this weekend, and I did not. And that's what I'll go home with. But on the flip side of it, there's a lot of things I am proud about. We'll break those down when Kat and Tracy come on. But the biggest takeaway is just how much I truly love and enjoy this. Just the scene, the struggles of kind of putting yourself in a blender and trying to come out stronger, fitter, faster than you were before. There's a lot of pressure associated with these things. Some you can get in your head about, and they can actually take over. And I don't really experience that anywhere else in my life. And I feel like doing something like this can actually help me in other areas of life, kind of keep things in perspective, control what I can control, and simply just literally do my best in everything I can. And if you can walk away from a competition, a training session, a diet plan, a nutrition plan, a mobility plan, your career, if you can literally just walk away saying you put everything you could into that day's work and that long-term process, you really have nothing to be upset about. That if you're not putting into it, or you're too scared to try something, or you can't control your mind within these workouts or around the workouts, that's where I think you can look in the mirror and be like, hey, I got to be better. But I don't walk away from this competition saying anything that I need to improve my process with. I wish I was a little bit stronger on the barbell. I need to be a little bit better in the pool. Those two things really crushed me this weekend. But even in the events I did better on, I could have done better. But it's okay because I essentially went to failure on everything, including burpee box jumps at the end. I don't think I could have done another one. I went to failure on ring muscle ups. I went to failure on bar muscle ups. I even went to failure on double unders. Go figure, about 11 times in the same workout. But it's a really cool experience to be out here away from home, away from your comfort zone, and you have to adjust on the fly to a lot of different things. And I look back on my 12 to 13 years of doing CrossFit, and I think the biggest lessons I have learned about CrossFit, the fitness regimen, not even the sport, have come from competing. So I want to encourage you guys that have zero interest in competing, especially across the country or around the world. I want to encourage you guys to find something to put yourself into that does make you a little uncomfortable, because it gives you a whole different perspective of not only CrossFit and training, but yourself. And we have the CrossFit coming up right around the corner, and I want to challenge you guys to all sign up for that, and we'll all do this together. It's at your home gym. We do a really good job of keeping things organized and timely for you, and we'll be there to support you. You could also sign up for a High Rocks race coming up, a local competition. I think when you sign up for those things, you really dial in across the board, and that's where you find out a lot about yourself, good and bad. But at the end of the day, even the bad stuff ends up being good, because you can take a lot of good from it and learn from it. So that's it, guys. Hopefully get this out at some point on Monday. We're going to go out to dinner, have a drink or two or seven, and wake up at 5 a.m. and go to Vegas, baby. All right, see you later. Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for taking the time out of your day to listen to the Herd Fit podcast. Be on the lookout for next week's episode.